Welcome and thank you for joining us. You're listening to Real Talk San Diego, bringing you the business of life in America's finest city. I'm your host, Lynette Braun, realtor with Coldwell Banker Rancho Santa Fe, your luxury and investment realtor. This is another episode of Women Mean Business, where I talk to the most interesting and influential executives and entrepreneurs making an impact both here in San Diego and internationally. I'm fascinated by people who, like me, are living with passion and purpose. Every Monday, I talk to the leaders of the San Diego business community about business, finance, real estate, wellness, and life in San Diego. I'd like to start today's show by introducing my co-host, Alisa DiLorenzo. Alisa is co-founder of One Extraordinary Marriage. Her and her husband, Tony, host a podcast that's #1 on iTunes and Kids and Family with over 100,000 unique downloads every month. Alisa and Tony have a loyal following in over 180 countries and are authors of several books. Alisa helps couples and individuals struggling with a lack of time, communication, or intimacy with specific tools and strategies to help create the extraordinary relationships they desire. If you can use some relationship advice, not just about marriage, but also for business and personal relationships, learn more about Tony and Alisa by visiting their website at one, which is spelled O-N-E, oneextraordinarymarriage.com. Thank you for joining me today, Alisa.
You're welcome. It's great to be back.
Yeah, I'm excited today to talk about your recent podcast, which is number 276. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
It's, the title of that podcast is called Money in the Bank, and we're going to be talking about how financial stress is an intimacy killer.
That's a big one.
Big downer, huh?
It is a big downer.
Well, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
We're also joined in studio today by a very special guest, Miss San Diego, if I can call her that. I don't know if that's one of your titles yet, but
I like that.
You should be Miss San Diego.
San Diego. Cindy Matalucci. She's founder, executive producer, and host of the Pulse SD and the Pulse TV. The Pulse is San Diego's hottest new lifestyle show, where Cindy Matalucci gives you the 411 on all the latest and greatest things to do in our amazing city. From the newest bars and restaurants to the chicest boutiques to the best gyms, spas, and red carpet events that you must attend. Through her incredible marketing, Cindy introduces us to some of San Diego's most successful entrepreneurs and gives you the inside scoop on their story and how they became so successful. She takes you inside their world and their business. Cindy Matalucci, the founder, executive producer, and host, can be reached at thepulsesd.com. Welcome, Cindy. Thank you for joining us.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me, ladies.
You're welcome. It's great to have a new title, too. You walk in and now you're Miss San Diego.
Miss San Diego.
I love it. See that? I get on the show and I have a new title.
See, if I was a good host, I would have had a tiara prepared.
Ooh, I like
Next
that.
time.
Ooh, we're going next level now.
Next time.
So over the weekend, I was listening to your podcast, Alisa, the most recent ones, up now at oneextraordinarymarriage.com. And the topic is financial stress and how it affects your intimacy and your relationships. So let's talk about that. And one of the things that I kind of absorbed from listening to the podcast was that financial stress obviously keeps you up at night. You're worrying during the day. It's hard to let your guard down when you're thinking about how to put food on the table, right? As
Absolutely.
moms, we know that feeling. So this fear keeps you and your spouse from living the life and the marriage that you were meant to have. So making decisions about telling your money what to do can kind of alleviate some of that. And that was some of the tips that I absorbed from the podcast. So let's talk a little bit more about how intimacy can be affected by your financial stress.
Well, I think it's like with anything. When we have something that's occupying a part of our brain that's taking us out of the relationship, it's really hard then to be like, yeah, I want to go jump into bed with you, right? Because you've got that pit in your stomach going, how am I going to pay the bills? How are we going to put food on the table? Are we going to make the mortgage payment this month? And, so many people today are just living in this very reactive place of, how many times do we hear, I've got more month than I've got money?
Right.
And, you can have a plan, right? And, we're sitting here inside the studio. We've got your plan for what you want the show to look like today. I know that when you're doing a red carpet event, you've got a plan for what the flow is going to be like. We just need to take that same staff and that same idea and put a plan in with our finances.
And why don't people do that?
Because like so many things, I think with the relationships, they think it's just like it should just take care of itself, right? Like it should just be, well, we got money, right?
It's
all
like
good.
the same reason why people don't budget. Like the concept of a zero-based budget is where you give every dollar a job.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will do that with their time. They time block certain sections of their time, and that can be applied to relationships, right?
Absolutely. Because if we just we're so bought into this idea that everything should be spontaneous, that we shouldn't have to live in this structured world. And the reality is that we're sitting around the table here, and folks, I know you can't see this, but there are 3 phones with calendars on them around the table.
That are all color blocked and full.
Color blocked. This hour was all set aside. Lynette said be here at 12:30. We were here at 12:30. Why? Because it was important. We take care and put structure and planning around the things that are important. And I will tell you that when couples step out and, it's uncomfortable at first. Let's face it, talking about money with your significant other is not a great conversation because we've been taught from an early age, don't talk about money. Well, if we're taught not to talk about money, at some point in time as grown-ups, we're going to be those grown-ups saying, don't talk about money, but we've got to.
Right. And it's funny because we talk about being grown-ups, but I think there's a certain age where I got to the grocery store and someone called me ma'am, and I just kind of looked around like, wait, if I haven't grown up yet and everybody else is in the same size body, that's a little,
Right.
What does being grown up really mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They
true.
should start teaching that earlier in school. They should do that so people can be prepared.
Well, right, they don't teach you how to balance a checkbook
Not that
or
either.
manage your relationships.
There are some serious lacks
Right.
in the education system, and it's because, I'm not going to go into the whole education and politics and things like that. That's another show. But we need to be proactive. And if there are people in your life, even us as, I'm going to put grown-ups in quotes, recognize that there are women in our lives that we can mentor and say, hey, here's a way that you can change your relationship. Here's a way that you can change your life. Have a plan. Go to the zero-based budget.
Sure.
Yep.
And you can do that with your time.
And I love the way you said that, too, because you said every dollar has a job.
Right. You don't just leave them floating around wondering what's going to happen. If you have your budget that's set aside for rent, you have your budget that's set aside for giving to your church, and you have budget that's set aside for, this is $500 this month that I just want to blow on whatever I feel like when it comes up, my pocket money.
Your pocket money. And that's great because if your money is working for you, guess what? You feel a lot more in control, and that intimacy jumps way up with your partner because you're not wondering, oh, am I going to open the checking account and there's going to be $0 there? Or worse, is it going to be negative?
Well, then you can have a date night budget.
I
Right.
love the date night budget. I love that you went there, Miss Cindy Matalucci.
Yes.
Because you know how important date nights are. But you've got to plan for those too, and you've got to plan to have the money. We live in San Diego, and I know you're going to probably get to some great events that are coming up here in the city. And there are a lot of things you can do for free. But there's also times we like to go out and spend a little money on our dates. And you've got to have a plan for that.
That makes a lot of sense. And one of the things I was going to say too is that, having that dedicated time together and sticking to it even when you don't feel like it. Because that can be a challenge
Please
when you're a
do
busy
so.
executive too, right? Like staying committed to that time.
Well, it's one of those things where we invest time in those things that are important to us. And so, yes, as a busy executive, Lynette, you could be showing houses probably 24/7.
Right.
You could. I've watched your Facebook feed. I've watched your Instagram. You're not.
Well, I've learned that my work will expand to the time allotted. So if I am left to my own devices, I will work from 3 in the morning till 10 at night because it's what I enjoy. It doesn't feel,
Sure.
it feels when you're in flow when it comes naturally to you.
But if you work like that, how do the relationships with those that you
Right.
love?
And I feel the impact of that. So I have to
Yeah.
be conscious of scheduling time to just relax, scheduling time to prepare meals, scheduling time to do laundry. It sounds so basic that, oh, really, I have to put laundry on my calendar? Yes, I actually do, because then it doesn't get done.
Well, and I work with my partner, so the two of us, he's filming me. God, he's got to listen to me all day long. I feel
Right.
bad. But it's kind of like you have to make time. We could work at home all day, at the office all day, but we have to make that time just for the two of us. No social media, no looking at your phone, really getting engaged, or else it's never going to happen.
Well, and that's so true. And I've seen the two of you out. I know that he's always behind the camera looking at you, right? So he gets to look at you and listen to you all day.
He wants to turn off the headphones. He's like, turn it off.
Turn it off, turn it off. But I've also noticed the two of you are very deliberate when it is your time. I've seen you, on social media. You're like, we're checking out.
That's
we'll
awesome.
We'll be back online in 3 or 4 days. We're checking out. Why? Because 1, you don't need everybody in your business, and 2, it needs to be about the two of you to foster and strengthen your relationship. That's what makes it work instead of just being, another statistic.
Absolutely. And one of the things I think too as women when that men need to understand is that at least the male-dominant brain and a female-dominant brain, I should say, in relationships. I think a male-dominant brain, it's much more, it's much easier for them to compartmentalize their feelings and their thoughts. If they had a bad day, they can stuff that in one drawer and then open the sex drawer and not even be thinking about work with a drop of a hat. But women, we're emotional creatures. We don't change gears as quickly.
Sure.
You know, we have multiple drawers open at the same time, so we need to have, you know, the least amount of stress possible in order for that relationship to foster in general. So
And some romance.
yes.
Romance goes a long way. For all of the guys that are listening, I am going to say this, romance goes a long way. And it doesn't have to be, you know, the music, violins in the background and the rose petals on the bed and the box of chocolates, although that does work.
So what's your tips if you're trying to romance a busy businesswoman like one of us ladies, if you're trying to get a date with a hot executive? What's Alisa's tips?
Well, I will tell you that often, so my husband's name is Tony, and often during the day, it'll just be a quick text. You know, and it's amazing how a text that isn't related to business, but is related to me and being pampered and being loved and feeling valued goes so far.
I love that.
You know, he's just like, hey, I'm thinking about
Just
you.
a little thoughtful something during the day.
It's the thought, or, you know, he'll go so crazy as to say, hey, I've got a date with you Friday night at 6 o'clock. Because he knows what our schedule is. He's looked at the calendars, and he's planned the date. And guys,
He'll surprise you with it.
Let's talk about the guys taking initiative to
take
plan the date.
initiative on the date. She will love it.
Because we plan everything else.
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
that's kind of nice to have a date planned for you. You know, put your heels on, put something sexy on.
You get to feel like a girl that you're taking care of.
You know,
Yep.
it's almost like when they used to show up at the front door with the flower, and you didn't know where you were going. You just knew you were having a date. There's no reason we can't go back to that with just the surprises and the plans.
Right. And it can be reciprocated both ways too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Tony and I talk a lot on the show about taking the lead, and it's all about this idea of we make so many decisions. I mean, I'm sitting at this powerhouse table right now, and you guys make 1,001 decisions probably before 8 o'clock. Probably. And so to have that night where your significant other is saying, you know what, I got this one. Like, I've made the dinner reservations. Here's what I would suggest you wear so you're not cold, because if you're like me, Tony gives me a warning if I'm going to be cold.
Bring a jacket.
Bring a jacket.
Gives you the fashion tips.
Wear these shoes, which is fine.
Yeah.
You know, because I'd much rather be prepared than be like,
Well, if you're going to go for a walk on the beach, maybe not the stilettos, you know.
right, you know, it's okay. Or you just take them off and know you're going to carry them, but that type of stuff. And, you know, then you just get there and you can be fully present. Fully present.
That's like my dream. I love that you just said that. That's my dream.
Oh, I hope somebody's listening.
Actually, he did that for me for my birthday.
Okay, there you go.
He surprised me. I got my hair done. He set up an
Oh,
appointment for me to
wow.
get my hair done. We went on a cruise. I didn't know where it was going to be. I just knew where to be, what time.
That's very romantic.
And what to wear. You know, he gave me the tip on what to wear.
There you go.
And that was it, and it was amazing. So,
That was major points.
major kudos.
Major kudos, guys. Listen.
That was money in the date bank.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, as busy executives, we have to balance a lot between relationships and business. And Cindy, you've been busy lately with a lot of your events. We're going to talk more about that when we come back from the break. But can we just talk briefly about how you got started? And we're going to talk briefly when we come back about how you got started with your marketing business, which is the Pulse SD. You're on all the red carpet events throughout San Diego, and you built a team of A-listers as your database. So, Miss San Diego, it's the title I've given you from now on, so I don't know if you like it, but you're taking it.
I'll answer to it.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're more with Cindy Matalucci of the Pulse SD. You're listening to Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 17.
I just want to say my
It's for your
handsome
booty
engineer,
nights.
Jeff, is playing the jams today. But we're talking about relationships and sex and money, the most important things, right?
Pretty much.
With Alisa DiLorenzo of One Extraordinary Marriage, and I'm also with Cindy Matalucci, the founder, executive producer, and host of the Pulse SD and the Pulse TV. Thank you for joining me, ladies.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Cindy, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started with the Pulse.
Well, I'm from the East Coast originally, so I grew up with a big Italian family of entrepreneurs, so I knew that that was always going to be in my blood. I moved out here, didn't know anyone, didn't know a soul after I graduated college, and I kind of thought, oh, I want to get into PR. Well, I didn't know anyone, so I didn't have any contacts or anything, so I ended up getting into sales. So I spent 17 years in the sales and marketing arena for Fortune 500 companies. 13 and a half years I spent at Paychex. So I learned a lot about business and issues and HR and things like that.
And for those who don't know, Paychex is a company that does payroll processing for large corporations.
Exactly. Payroll, HR, workers' comp, all that fun stuff. So I spent about 13 years there, and I had this constant theme I would see with my clients. Each one was so great at their business, but from a marketing aspect, they didn't really get the marketing side of it. And so at the time, I was putting on some women's events, and I was bringing in a lot of powerful women in San Diego. We would have it at a venue. Somebody would be speaking. We'd have cocktails. We'd have a spotlight, vendors. And I thought, why can't we film and photograph this? It would be so cool. And then they could use it for a marketing piece. So that was kind of my initial idea. And then I always kind of loved people's stories, so I knew I sort of wanted a TV show. So in the back of my mind, I thought, let's do this on the web, and then eventually let's try, for a TV show. I mean, come on, let's face it. We live in San Diego. It's a fabulous city.
I know, but you say that like it's an easy undertaking. I'm just thinking of the editing time alone is me. That's a lot of caffeine.
Yeah. You think about
let's
that
just
after
bust
you get
out
it.
an internet show, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like you have these dreams. I always tell people, dream big. You got to do what you want to do. But I just, I went to some of my biggest clients and I gave them the idea for the show that I had, and I just kind of said, would you be my guinea pig? And so I used my best clients as a guinea pig. We filmed some things, had them talk about their business on camera, had me try stuff on camera, and it sort of took off as a passion project. And then, 4 years later, we have a TV show. So it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
But I left my corporate job about 2 years ago, and I love what I do. I'm blessed.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I always say congratulations when someone says they left their corporate job to start my own business, because it's a big leap.
Oh, it is a big leap. And, I think what's so important about your story too, Cindy, is that you were laying the groundwork for this when you still had that corporate job.
Yes.
You made the leap when you recognized the time was right and said, okay, if I'm going to blow this up, it needs me to be full-time.
Exactly. And what I would say, especially to like entrepreneurs out there listening, I mean, it's all about network. It's all about connections. And so whatever you're doing, maybe you're doing something part-time, maybe you have some dream. It's all about building the connections. It's not going to happen overnight, but you have to really feed those connections. And because I was in the marketing and sales world for so long, I was able to take the connections and the network that I had, and that really catapulted us into the next level. I don't know that, we would have gotten there, but it could have been 8 years, right?
Right.
Not 4.
Well, and in sales, they say that the actual sale, if you're, prospecting to someone and you're making a contact, the actual sales made between, I think, the 5th and the 12th touch.
I think 7's like the number.
7's the number, yeah. So it's the same thing in networking. You have to show yourself on a consistent basis. You have to build a brand. Even if you're part-time, you have to stay in touch with people and not expect that they're going to buy something from you the first time that they meet you.
Exactly. It's all about the relationships. And that's why when it comes to networking and with what we do, we love the story. No matter what you're doing, it's always about a good story. So we've kind of taken that theme, whether it's networking, whether it's what we're doing with the Pulse, is learning about people's story and spotlighting that, because I think that's the best form of getting to know someone and taking that relationship to the next level.
So what kind of clients do you normally find yourself working with? I'm sure it's a big variety, but do you have one in particular that you focus on?
So for us, we really have 3 facets to the business. So we do video production, but we kind of do it with an interview style, so it's a little different. So either I can be on camera sort of as a third-party person for a business owner, instead of them having to sell themselves, which I know sometimes it's like they don't want to sell themselves, so I'm kind of helping them do that. So we have...
It adds credibility too, right?
It totally does.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we have that aspect. Then we have event coverage that we do. So any client that wants, that's hosting an event, let's say it's a fashion show or it's a charity event or, a red carpet event, we can go and film that for them and create a marketing video. And then we also have like TV show segments that we're doing now. So I think for anybody in San Diego, there's so many entrepreneurs, there's so many great businesses here. We want to spotlight you, so contact us. Let us know you'd be a perfect client for us.
Well, and I have been at red carpet events that you've attended. I've seen you videotape the television segments, and I've seen you out networking and covering events and really getting people's story. And I think that's what really works to set you guys apart at the Pulse, because it isn't just like, okay, here's a microphone, I'm going to stick the microphone in your face and just say something. I mean, I remember one red carpet event and specifically where you're just a part of the team for whoever the entity is that has hired you, and you almost blend in seamlessly, and yet you're getting so much coverage that like everybody wants to talk to you. So it's such a good rapport that you build so quickly for your clients and for the people that are attending these events.
And you really have a niche market too, because there's PR firms which will do your promotion, and then there's like a video firm which will help you make your commercial. But one of the things that I thought was interesting that you guys kind of focus on is the multimedia marketing. And I just want to kind of talk really quickly about what multimedia marketing is, because I think it's super important for us, no matter what kind of business you have, to engage in all different types of marketing. So multimedia marketing is really defined as mobile marketing, live casting, which is now like Periscope, podcasting, photo, video, file sharing, anything that can spread the word about your company and help build brand awareness in a very unique and powerful way. So the ability of technologies to facilitate communication between small business and your employees, your customers, potential customers, that's huge. So just having that portfolio of different marketing techniques available as a business owner, and I think what the Pulse SD offers is that really comprehensive package for a business owner that takes a lot off their plate.
Exactly. I mean, today you have to differentiate yourself. There's so much competition, right? So how do you do that? Well, with the Pulse, we did it by being sort of media for hire. So, you have an event and you say, hey, I want to pitch the news. Maybe, Channel 6 will come out here and cover it, or KUSI. But it's like, if something like that happens, they are going to be there, and they're only going to be there for a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. They're going to get their spin on it, of course, and then they're going to leave, and then there's a link that you get, but that might go away at some point. So you don't have control over it. So with what we do is, as media for hire, we work for you. So like Alisa, like what you were saying, we're like the first people to get there, we're the last people to leave, we're working with you, we're your team, we're creating a buzz. So I think that's what differentiates us. And then you have a marketing piece. You have something that you can use to talk about the event in the future. And I think, as business owners today, you have to differentiate yourself. You have to be doing Twitter. You have to be doing Instagram, my favorite, my addiction, Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, whatever you're doing, you have to have video too. It's huge right now. It's for SEO rankings. I mean, for every reason under the sun. If you don't have video now, you're missing the boat on marketing.
Well, and having been in podcasting we've been in podcasting for the last 5 years, and as we've moved into just growing our own brand, we're seeing how, people recognize our voice, but they also want to see our face, right? And they want to be able to interact with us. And so that's where, even as we're growing our business, I can see that video will be a bigger proportion of that. Because just like Lynette, I know there are times when you're taking videos of your properties and, walking the property and things like that, and people are like, oh great, like I can picture myself walking through the house with Lynette. I mean, it's that same kind of thing. We want to see it. We want to, basically be able to touch and feel as much as we can, and that's where that video component is so powerful.
Well, and like we were saying, we're so busy, right? We're trying to calendar and schedule everything with sex and everything.
I'm glad that's the one you picked. Yeah.
My marketing newsletter for Sex 5.
Finances, schedule this. Well, it's like I tell all my clients, and I tell people that, ask me about marketing, like Instagram, right? You have 15 seconds. You don't have to pay. It's not expensive. You have a free Instagram account. If you're a real estate agent, if you are a restaurant, take a little video of something. People don't have that much time, but they will look at that for 15 seconds, and that is a great marketing piece for somebody that doesn't have a budget maybe in the beginning, if they're a startup business.
And it doesn't have to be, this is one of the things that when I first started, I want every video to be like, have a layover with text and my logo on it. Now I'm like, I'll take a 15 second Instagram video with my cell phone, no filter, up it goes. Those are, to me, relationship building things, because people get to see what my life is like day to day. And it's not so much just me trying to sell them something. This is really, you get a picture of what it's like, kind of behind the scenes.
I love that you said that, because I think the three of us are all about authenticity, and that's huge with our marketing. And like you said, you're not always trying to look like your best. I mean, you always look good. I don't mean it like that, but I mean, you're not trying to put this perfect picture out. And I think that's a big thing for marketing. I mean, Alisa, you and Tony, you get so raw and so real. I mean, I've heard you speak, and
right.
I love that, because people gravitate towards realness, and with marketing on video, yeah, you can we do polished videos, of course.
Of course.
But you can I like to put something up with me and no makeup and no filter and be like, yeah, I woke up like this, and maybe I don't look so great, but hey, I'm an entrepreneur and I work like 40 hours a day sometimes. This is what it's like.
When you're headed to the gym, or you've just come back from, you were filming an episode or a segment last week with the water sports. We were joking about this. And, you've got the wetsuit on, and your hair's all over. It's just, It is.
I was a hot mess, you can say.
It was, but it was real, right? Because how many times have we watched those shows where we're like, okay, there's no way this woman is in the water with her hair looking like it's just not real.
Well, I think that speaks to the impact that social media has had on consumer expectations too, because the popularity of things like Twitter and Facebook, where you don't have a middleman in terms of a marketing brand or a PR person in between you and a celebrity. You can communicate directly with them on Twitter. You can tweet them a picture. You can. So the barrier has kind of been lowered in terms of, people want to see more and more of your personal side and get to know you, and then they engage more with your professional posts when you're showing something about a house or whatever it may be. So it's brand awareness, it's building relationships, it's marketing, it's a lot of different things. So social media, for me, Instagram, I get so many organic followers just from hashtags.
And organic is the key. I love that you said that too. I mean, you can go out there and you can buy a bunch of followers, but then you can't have any ROI. You have no return of investment,
Right.
no
They
way to
don't engage.
track anything,
Right.
and no engagement. And that's one thing we're really proud of is everything's done very naturally, and our engagement and our influence on social media, the numbers are great. I think our influence is 100%. So it's like when we're talking, people are listening, and I think it's because we're not fake. It's not,
Right.
I look beautiful, here I am all the time with
No,
these
it's
lashes.
the real red carpet.
No, I just glued these lashes on.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 1700. I'm your host, Lynette Braun, luxury and investment realtor. When we come back, we'll talk more about what's happening in San Diego with Cindy Matalucci of the Pulse SD.
Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 1700. This is another episode of Women Mean Business, where I talk to the most interesting and influential entrepreneurs and executives in San Diego. And I'm glad Jeff is keeping it romantic with the music today, because I'm here with Alisa DiLorenzo of One Extraordinary Marriage. Thanks for joining me, Alisa.
You are so welcome. I'm always glad to be here.
Yeah, having a great time. And I'm also joined in studio today by our special guest, Cindy Matalucci, who is executive producer, host, and founder of the Pulse SD. Thanks for joining us, Cindy.
Thanks for having me, powerful ladies.
It's Women Mean Business
That's
today.
right.
We're serious.
That's right.
So every week during this time, I update you on what's happening in the real estate market by bringing you news, trends, and special homes. If you haven't received my real estate review every Thursday, send me a text message at 619-402-3362 with your name and email address, and I'll make sure that you get included next week. You'll learn about my listings before they hit the market, meet upcoming guests, and see what's happening in the green room before the show. So let's get started with this week's real estate review. This week I'm going to do a client question. And I had a client ask me, and if you want to ask me any questions, you can send them to me on Twitter, which is at Lynette_Braun. And my client question for this week is alcohol allowed at HOA meetings? Is there any rule against it? And her question was, this was from Tammy. My sister lives in a home that my husband and I co-own with her. Being a small neighborhood, meetings are held at private homes. Board members drink wine while conducting business. Is this legal? Are decisions made while drinking alcohol considered sound? Just wondering. So, I just wanted to get your ladies' spin on what you thought about that, and then I'm going to give my recommendations for Tammy and her HOA.
Well, I think, one, you've got the whole, it's a private home.
Right.
So, what people do in their own homes is their own business. But I do think that if you're conducting business meetings, then maybe you hold the alcohol, right? That's, not for the whole evening, but at least if you're making decisions on how much, HOA fees are going to go up or things like that, people would like to know that you're not doing that while you've been drinking.
Maybe hold off on the drinking till after that, right? The first half of the meeting, you get to business, and then you're like, okay, let's celebrate. Let's bring out the wine now.
Yeah, we kind of walk a fine line, though, because if you're networking or if you're at a business event, a lot of us will have one or two glasses of wine and it becomes just something that's socially acceptable. You don't realize that maybe you're offending someone or they're questioning your judgment, or worse, that would have legal implications for you later on.
Well, and I think that's, you're looking at a couple different scenarios there, because networking, a lot of networking is social networking, as it is, like you said, at events and things like that, whereas these folks are coming to, handle the business
Right.
of their HOA.
They have to separate being neighbors and friends from...
Right. Like, just have the coolers outside afterwards, or, the wine bar or whatever, but take care of your business first.
Right. And that's my official ruling for Tammy this week is, for better or worse, there's no crime for what I call governing under the influence, or GUI.
GUI, I love that.
There's no rule against GUI, so And I'm just wondering if we really need rules against it. You know, the more kind of prohibitions that we put in HOAs, the more people are resistant to being a part of HOAs to begin with. So if there are already people who can dictate what color you paint your house and how long you keep up your Christmas lights, and now they're telling you what you can put in your own body, those are the kind of freedoms where I start to pump the brakes regardless of, you know, what's happening at the meetings. But when I imagine being an attorney and I'm representing a board member in a court of law and I'm trying to defend decisions that were made under the influence of alcohol, I might have a hard time defending that person. So my advice to the board members would be definitely, like you guys said, just hold off until after the meeting, you know, finish your meeting notes, make a note, this is the end of the meeting, party face is on.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's all about people's judgment, and I just want to say one thing. You know, we don't necessarily need more rules.
Right.
We need more people taking responsibility for their actions.
Absolutely.
I was going to say the same thing. I think it's really the person, you know, I host events, and when I host an event, I'm going to have a glass of wine, but I'm a leader. I'm not going to get snookered. You're not going to see me like falling over. You know, I think you have to be, you have to be like responsible for what you're doing. So
and also to the homeowners, if you have concerns about, you know, if you're a board member and you have concerns about how the board is being run for your HOA, my recommendation to you would be to bring the topic up as a formal item to the board for a meeting in a way that's friendly and productive so you can express your concerns. They may just see it as something that's socially acceptable with their neighbors, and they're not thinking out the legal consequences about, wow, what could happen to me if I get sued later on and someone's questioning my judgment because I had 2 beers with a neighbor at the barbecue.
Right.
You know, so thinking those things through, that would be my best tip. Everybody just cool it till after the meeting. Think things through.
Think things through.
Yeah, and if you have a question that you want answered next week, you can tweet me at Lynette_Braun on Twitter. So let's talk a little bit about what events you have coming up for the Pulse SD. I know you guys, I looked at the calendar and I couldn't even print all of the pages without running out of ink.
there's a lot of events, and that's a good point. You can actually enter your event on our calendar, or you can check out what's happening in San Diego at our calendar at thepulsesd.com. Some fun stuff to mention, though. I don't know if anyone's been to the Front Porch, which is in Mission Hills. Have you guys been there?
No, I haven't.
there.
Okay, very cool store. I think it opened probably like 3 or 4 months back. Well, they're opening a second location in Coronado. So we actually are covering on July 1st the VIP party for the event. And it's 2 female entrepreneurs that are the owners of the company. So
Which
very
hopefully
cool.
will be my next guest
I
on
was
the
going
show.
to say, that sounds like we're
Thank
laying
you, Cindy.
groundwork for another show.
Yeah, so Melissa Scott Clark, she was an actress, businesswoman, and spokesperson. And Gina Campion Kane, she actually also owns, it's a great restaurant, and I can't think of it right now.
So that'll be on the calendar
That'll
too.
be on the calendar. Yeah, she owns another restaurant. She's just she does a lot of things in San Diego. They're very cool women. They're the owners. And basically the store has all these very nice like kitchenware, but it's like high-end stuff, but it's
Ooh.
just gorgeous. They have olive oils. They have all different kinds of delectables, things like that. So that's going to open in Coronado on the 2nd, but we will be there and we'll give you the VIP party on the 1st. So that's something that's exciting that's coming up.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yes. And so we're doing that, and then we're going to be at Comic-Con.
Ooh, so what do you think? Do you think Comic-Con's going to stay in San Diego?
I hope so. I mean, they're still dealing with the convention center and what they're going to do with it, but I mean, I hope so. It brings like what, $33 million or something to our
Right.
city.
Right.
Source of revenue.
It's an astronomical number.
Between
It's
between
huge.
losing Comic-Con and the Chargers, that's gonna be an impact that the city's gonna feel for sure.
Exactly. And I think last year there was over 300,000 people that attended Comic-Con. So I just feel like they really need to keep it here. San Diego's booming. There's so much going on. I mean, we need to keep as much as we can here, especially for something like this. But we're real excited. It's our 2nd year. We've got some great things going on. I think we're going to be talking to Gene Simmons from KISS. Is going to be here. And we've
Can you
got...
pack me in your suitcase?
You want to help us with the camera?
Can I be
I
your
was gonna say, we
groupie?
might intern.
Yeah,
might
I'll
intern that
intern for you.
Yeah, come with. I'm serious. It's gonna be great. So so that we're doing that. We've got some other things. I'm still lining up our interviews, but we'll be there. That's July 8th to the 12th, and then we're doing some great celebrity poker things with an organization that we're involved in. August 15th, Echoes of Hope. They're an organization that helps foster emancipated foster children.
Okay.
So they're really great. We met them 2 years ago at Sundance, and it's a husband and wife, Stacia and Luke Robitaille. Luke played for the Kings, so NHL hockey
Okay, that's
player.
why that name sounds familiar. I'm like, listen, I'm like, wait, I I know that name.
Robitaille.
Yeah, Robitaille. They are the most amazing couple. Stacia's she was like, had her own record label. I mean, she's done a lot of things, but the two of them got involved with foster youth after Hurricane Katrina. They helped some families, and she decided, hey, I want to do more of this. And so she started this organization, and they do probably like 3 or 4 events a year. So this one will be up at LA Live, and it's a celebrity poker tournament.
Ooh.
So that's going to be really cool. But you can find details on our website for the exciting events that
Which
we're
is
doing.
thepulsesd.com.
thepulsesd.com. Exactly.
And you guys are on social media too, right? You want to give out your social media really quick?
Yeah, so everything's at thepulsesd.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website pulsesd.com, and the TV show. That's the other exciting thing that we're doing.
You guys are on Cox?
We're on Cox Channel 4.
Okay.
If you have Time Warner, we're 4SD. We're looking to get syndicated.
Awesome.
So we're excited
That'll
about
be a big
that.
party.
Oh,
When that happens,
and you
I don't
can
say
drink
if,
at that
I say
party.
when.
No HOA rules.
There's no HOA rules at that party. But yeah, that's really exciting. So it's every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. And we've got some great guests and some great people that we're spotlighting. Tony and Alisa are on my show. Maybe Lynette will be on my show.
I hope so.
So check it out.
Very cool. And Alisa, where can people find out more about your podcast if they want to find out other topics about marriage, money, sex?
Marriage, money, sex, finances. You can go to oneextraordinarymarriage.com. You can find us on iTunes at One Extraordinary Marriage. Pretty much you put that in, you will find us across all social media platforms so that we can just have a positive impact, not just on marriage, but on relationships in general as well.
I love following you guys on social media too, because your posts always make me blush a little bit, but it's always things that are good for me, you know?
A little bit of blushing is not a bad thing. Not
Get the
a bad
blood circulating in the morning.
thing. Yeah.
Well, and you have the #1 podcast.
Number
on
one marriage
iTunes.
podcast
That's
on
so
iTunes.
cool.
It's 180 countries. How many countries are there in the world? 100
Like 195 or something like
96,
that.
yeah,
There's just a few.
That's
Just a
so
few.
exciting.
Well, awesome. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more with Cindy and Alisa. You're listening to Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 1700. I'm your host, Lynette Braun, luxury and investment realtor. If you or someone you know wants to buy, sell, rent, or invest, get in touch with me by calling 619-402-3362, or you can check me out at LynetteBraun.com. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk San Diego on ESPN 1700. I'm your host, Lynette Braun, luxury and investment realtor with Coldwell Banker Rancho Santa Fe. If you guys could only hear what we're talking about during the break with Alisa DiLorenzo of One Extraordinary Marriage and Cindy Matalucci of the Pulse SD. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
Oh, it's so much fun.
We're having a blast over here.
So we've been talking about social media, marketing, sex, relationships, money. Is there anything we haven't covered?
That pretty much covers everything.
Yeah.
I think so.
Getting drunk at your HOA meetings.
It's one of those things, I think when you get a group of powerhouse women together, these are going to be the topics that are going to come up, right? Because it's not just what's happening in our businesses, it's what's happening in our lives.
Right, it's real
And
life.
so much, you used the analogy earlier, Lynette, about the different drawers. And that's what it's like. We have all our different drawers open, and we're like, okay, let's go here, and and if I like, I'm going to share everything with you. So
Right.
This is Real Talk, Sandy.
Yeah, it is real talk. Oh, and I like the drawer analogy too, because it helps me keep things in perspective with if each one of those drawers are a compartment of my life, being one's work, one's family, one's personal time, one's fitness, one's spirituality. I can't be maxing all those drawers out because the dresser's going to tip over, right? So yeah, I can only have really maybe one, maybe two things at a time and do them very well. So I try to use that analogy in my life. Like, I feel like my dresser's going to tip over.
I love that.
I like that. It's great.
So Lisa, do you have any events or things that you and Tony are working on that are coming up?
Well, we've got a flash sale right now going on for our book, Connect Like You Did When You First Met, 101 Proven Questions for Couples. And so if anyone is interested in taking a look at that, just go to oneextraordinarymarriage.com/connect Kindle. And you can take a peek at that. And we're working on setting up the lineup for the fall as far as what we're going to be doing.
So 101 questions to connect like you did when you first met.
Yes.
Now, is this an exercise where you're supposed to go through all of them, or is this something you work on over a few weeks?
Yeah, this is like a one question a day type of thing, and I'm so glad you asked that because we have had people that have tried to overwhelm their partners with like, okay, we got the book, let's go, and the partner
The type A's.
the partner who tends not to be as talkative is like, what are you doing to me? But really what we did was we went and we started thinking about what did we talk about when we were first dating? You know, when we're still talking about dreams, and we're still talking about what we wanted to be when we grew up, because we met super young, 22 and 23, or 20 and 21 is when we met.
Oh.
Yeah, we were babies. He kissed me the first time on my birthday.
Oh,
So cute.
sweet.
And it's been 18 years.
I love your guys' love
It's
story.
been 21
21
years since
years.
we
Nobody do the
kissed.
math.
19
She's still
years.
29.
You know what? It's okay. My husband posted a picture of me celebrating my 41st birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
But the questions are those questions that we used to talk about before. We only talked about, you know, like, don't forget to pick up milk at the grocery store, and I'm going to be late because I'm editing. You know, once again, like, you go on home, I'm going to edit. And he's like, okay, great. But, you know, who's going to feed the dogs, right? That kind of thing. So these are those questions. And we advise people, you know, spend only 10 or 15 minutes. These are not marathon conversations. This is just something to get you back in the habit, because a lot of life has gone by. Because you guys remember those early conversations when you would spend 3 hours and you're like, wow.
You wouldn't get off the phone or something.
We've
You're
only
on
been
the phone.
talking for
No, you hang
5
up. No, you
minutes.
hang up.
I don't want to hang up. I'm
Maybe
gonna sleep
that's
next
too
to
far
you
back.
with the phone. Remember that?
I want to hear you breathing.
Okay, now we're being scary girls.
But I think that maybe you should wait till your significant other has their coffee in the morning before, if they drink coffee.
Yeah,
maybe
I mean, it's
before-
a timing thing
Before
for sure.
fawning
It's
over
a timing
them.
thing. You know, don't do it right when they walk in the door at night. Don't say, "Hey, I just got this book, 101 Questions," because they're going to give you the deer in the headlights look. Just casually bring it up. But we have had people say that it's led to some of the best sex of their marriage. So I'm just saying, you
Yeah,
start talking,
for what it's worth.
good sex. I don't know. Put those two things together.
Seems to unlock magic doors.
It's all good.
And leads to happiness, which is all good for everyone.
Absolutely.
And also, I wanted to let you guys know next week, speaking about happiness and wellness, I'm going to be having the AcroHealth team on the show. And the AcroHealth team, if you guys haven't heard about them, they're also on social media. You can check out their website. These guys have a growing chiropractic and massage practice, and their business is booming. They just opened last year. They're already seeing 100 patients a week. So I'm really excited to talk to Dr. Raphael Ramon, Dr. Chris Norton, and Linda Freibot next week at 1 o'clock. We'll be talking about wellness in San Diego. So also, if you know of anyone that would like to buy, sell, rent, or invest, I'm happy to help them or refer them to someone I can. You can call me at 619-402-3362, or you can go to LynetteBraun.com, where you can search the MLS for free. You can also connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, LinkedIn.
Hence the compartment.
Yes, hence the compartments. So just send me a message. I try to reply to all of them. And I just also wanted to thank my handsome engineer, Jeff, today. He did a great job busting out the tunes for us. Mm-hmm. And before we close up today, I just wanted to give one more quote, and that to keep all of our entrepreneurs, ladies and men out there, inspired for the week. Our closing quote for the week is, "Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life living like most people can't."
Woo woo. That's such a good one.
That's great.
powerful.
So I'm going to ask you guys one more time just to give out all of your contact information and social media links, if there's anybody that wants to learn more about the events at Pulse SD, to attend them or to get started with you as a client.
Yeah, so anybody that's interested in working with us or finding out what we're doing, or a TV show, thepulsesd.com, at the Pulse SD on Instagram, on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, we're on everything. You can find us at the Pulse SD. So thank you so much for having
And
me.
watch in the afternoons too.
Yes, and watch our show in the afternoons. We'd love to get your feedback on the show.
Absolutely, it's so good. And you can find everything about One Extraordinary Marriage at oneextraordinarymarriage.com, or on Instagram, or on iTunes. Come and take a listen.
I also wanted to give myself one more shameless plug too. I'm working with a couple investors right now, and I'm looking for properties that are not currently active on the MLS. So if you have considered anything a multi-unit in North Park, Ocean Beach, Oceanside, between $700,000 and $950,000, I have a cash buyer that can close within the next 3 weeks. So you can give me a call at 619-402-3362. So thank you for listening, and thank you for being here today, ladies, for another episode of Women Mean Business. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy executive schedules to be here with me today.
Thank you for having us. It was fabulous, and I put it on the calendar. So
There you go.
I calendared
Schedule it.
And
Love
next
you guys.
time I'm going to schedule a purchase tiara for Cindy, Miss San Diego.
All right, I love it.
Well, thank you. I'm your host, Lynette Braun with Coldwell Banker Rancho Santa Fe, your luxury and investment realtor. Thank you so much for listening. Have a positive and productive week, and don't forget, women mean business.